Why Media Group? The fastest growing media group in North America.
Hello and welcome back to Y Media Newsroom. I'm Ramona Singh, and when it comes to sports news, Canadian swimming sensation Summer McIntosh is now broken the women's 200-meter butterfly world record, giving the 19-year-old four individual world records while cementing her status as one of the sport's greatest young athletes. This is so exciting. Now, the fourth individual world record is by her, and she's now set the new mark when it comes to the 200-meter butterfly. Now, this record has stood longer than any other individual women's swimming record. The three-time Olympic gold medalist, this is now considered Canada's greatest swimmers. When it comes to McIntosh, well, it has reportedly become one of the most dominant athletes in international swimming, consistently breaking records previously thought untouchable ahead of future Olympic competitions. So we're very proud to have a Canadian do this. And at 19, it's great news. You know, at 19, Summer McIntosh is just redefining what it is possible when it comes to competitive swimming. Her dominance isn't simply about winning races, as we've seen, it's about consistently pushing the limits of human performance and inspiring the next generation of Canadian athletes. Now, another news is that private equity firm Apex Capital is investing up to $30 million into Canada's Northern Super League, providing a major financial boost to the country's first professional women's soccer league as interest in the sport continues to surge. This investment is massive, $30 million, and that is by Apex Capital leading investment. And this is for the Northern Super League that's launched with 6 teams. And now the league was founded by Olympic bronze medalist Diana Matheson, and the investment reflects growing confidence in women's sports. Now, women's professional sports continue to attract increasing investments worldwide as attendance, as well as sponsorship and broadcasting audience reach record levels. Now, women's sports are increasingly proving that they're not simply a social investment or something you must do, but they're becoming a very serious business opportunity, as well as to have more fans rooting for all women teams. And now the audience has grown and the sponsorship has followed. And that means investors are recognizing that there is a long-term commercial potential. And six-time NBA All-Star Kyle Lowry has officially retired after a 20-year NBA career, signing a ceremonial one-day contract to retire with the Toronto Raptors, the franchise where he became the greatest player in team history. Lowry helped lead the Toronto into the first NBA championships back in 2019 and leaves as the franchise all-time leader in assists, steals, and three-pointers. He retires after a 20-year career, 20 NBA seasons, and he signed just to be able to do that, to signing a one-day contract with the Toronto Raptors and then retire, makes history for the Toronto Raptors. Now he's played 9 seasons in Toronto from 2012 to 2021. He led the Raptors to their first NBA championship, so that was very significant, with six-time NBA All-Star franchise leader in assist, steal, and three-point field goals made. Essentially, he's finished his career with the Philadelphia 76ers after previous stops with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets and the Miami Heat. Now, acquired by Toronto back in 2012, Lowry transformed both his own career as well as the Raptors franchise, alongside stars such as DeMar DeRozan and later Kawhi Leonard. He helped turn the Raptors into perennial contenders before capturing Canada's first NBA championship back in 2019. Now, many fans, teammates, as well as executives consider Lowry the greatest Raptor in franchise history. Every franchise has players who put up great numbers. A select few change the culture of the organization. In this case, Kyle Lowry did both. His arrival marked the beginning of the most successful era in Raptors history, culminating in Canada's first NBA championship. When it comes to statistics alone, it does not explain his legacy, his toughness, his leadership, as well as his willingness to do little things that earned him the respect of teammates, coaches, and fans alike. When basketball history is written in Canada, well, you'll have Kyle Lowry name will always stand near the top. And when it comes to FIFA news, you have Belgium has defeated the United States 4-1 in the round of 16, ending the Americans' World Cup run despite home field advantage and the controversial reinstatement of striker Florent Belgun, which was for the match. He got the red card, and essentially President Trump, he called FIFA president and was able to reinstate Balogun back into the game to play. And I think that's what Americans that I talked to earlier today say they're so upset about. They're saying they're heartbroken with the results, but also this was after they let their star player back in, which also became a very controversial thing for FIFA that, hey, you got a red card, and then FIFA decided to reinstate the player, which wasn't supposed to come back and play. And that was because the president called the FIFA president, and it said that the both are friends. But, does that mean there was politics in sports? And sports is one of the things that really, take politics out of things, right? Sports unite. There's wars going on, and yet you have sports playing, and it changes everything because you can have teams from opposing countries in massive conflict that will play one another. And when people root for sports, well, they're doing it beyond any of the other stereotypes and every other thing that plagues our society. And so, really, the last thing anybody wants as a sports fan is to have politics in sports because it's supposed to just be sportsmanship. It's supposed to have the rules of the sports really guide how things go and just to accept it. And so, this red card thing that was done and how the controversy of reinstating the player Balogun, well, now you have the big news that Belgium has defeated US by 4-1. And of course, even though the controversy will go on beyond this game alone, because it's a greater conversation to be had. But here you have it. The US has now exited round of 16. Balogun did return after his suspension was overturned, and that conversation will still continue to have it beyond this. But Belgium did score twice in the opening minutes, and you had Cristiano Ronaldo also played his final World Cup match as Portugal was eliminated by Spain. Now, the United States has entered the tournament with very high expectations as a co-host, but fell short of the deep run. And here is the latest on how Americans feel. Now, hosting the World Cup does raise expectations. While the United States did show promise, the tournament also exposed the gaps that still exist between emerging soccer nations and the sport's traditional powerhouses. And there was a new poll done by Nanos tracking where the different parties are. What we'll do is we'll take a quick break and we'll come back.